because I just kind of like want to try something new. I'm really in a time period in my life where I'm trying to do things that really make me happy, because I've just spent a lot of time pursuing goals, and the goals never really made me happy in the first place. So now I'm trying to change that. And so this morning routine is only things that make me happy. A lot of people, when they talk about morning routine, they're like, wake up at 6, go work out, do all these things that are like good for you and that you like have to do. But because they already feel like a chore, and then you have to wake up earlier to do them, you don't want to do them. So I haven't included anything in this morning routine that I don't really enjoy. And that's kind of the whole point of it, is you spend the first, and you try to kind of make it an extended period of time, a nice slow morning if you like that, a nice hour where you can just do whatever you want, whatever feels good to you, where you don't have to react to other people. If you just wake up and immediately get going, which is what I tend to do a lot of the times, you start your day out reactive. Or if you wake up and you get on your phone, you're on social media, you're starting your day in a reactive frame. Whereas if you can get good with yourself first for the first hour, you're in more of a proactive frame. Okay, so I've been reading a lot of books. That's the type of stuff, like, I'll go through the ones that I feel like are like worth reading, because I've been doing so much reading recently. The first one is The Mountain Is You. It is so good, especially the first couple chapters are really good. I recommend this. I recommend this to basically anyone. The 5-minute journal, that's what I showed you this morning. It's so good. And I love the question, what would make today great? It kind of gets you in your imagination, kind of thinking futuristically. And I think of so many good ideas. And then once you've primed your brain with a good idea, it tries to find ways to make it happen. Like this book has a whole section about the science behind it in the beginning, but it looks really simple. So all these questions are very simple, but they were chosen very intentionally to prime your brain for the correct things. So I think it's easy to underestimate something like this, especially that what would make today great question is so good. The book I'm reading right now, Think and Grow Rich, a classic book. It's so good. I thought it was going to be kind of slimy, but it's basically, it's where the law of attraction started. You could use this for reaching any goal. Halfway through this morning, I just read the chapter on imagination. I'm enjoying this book so much, and I'm realizing that so many like influencers or people who talk about law of attraction, they get a lot of their ideas from here. A lot of it's just like kind of verbatim from in here, but it's so much deeper when it comes from the source. And then the last one that I thought was really good was The War of Art. I love this book. It was exactly what I needed. Like, it's for a very specific person. It's for someone who wants to start doing kind of their life's work, kind of their creative work, something that they've been scared to try, but for whatever reason they have this resistance. And this whole book is about resistance and kind of overcoming resistance. I think it's really good for a very specific person. So it's Friday for me, and I'm trying to, on Fridays, every Friday, I'm trying to make it more of like a planning day, because I really love planning. So I try to make as much of my time be planning as possible. So on Mondays, I do some planning, and on Fridays I do some planning. And on Fridays, I just try to plan out like what the next week is going to look like, what the videos are going to be, what my schedule is going to be, like when I'm editing, when I'm doing whatever. This is I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of dark. This is a poker table. I planned a murder mystery party, and there was a poker table at it. So I still need to get that back to my father-in-law. So I'm going to go do some weekly planning. Weekly planning has just changed my life. I feel like when you have a dream and then you can project plan it out, like I think project planning in general has just kind of changed my life. Like if you can plan out what you want to do each quarter and then break that down into 8 years, so like 6-week sprints, like what you want to master over the next 6 weeks, and then you kind of sort your tasks by week and then weekly plan. That's how you, in my opinion, that has been the best way that I've found to translate dreams into goals, into actual plans. So that's what I'm doing this morning. just did weekly planning. I love weekly planning. The more I can just schedule weekly planning in for myself, the happier I am. One thing that's so helpful is the trigger list. If you never looked it up, you should just Google it. Google trigger list, getting things done, and a PDF will come up, and it's a list, and it's supposed to like trigger your brain to think of all the things you need to do. And there are always things that I'm like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that. Like, oh, I need to get this poker table. Now I'm gonna go set up my YouTube set, because since I've been living with my parents, I have not reset up the YouTube set. I don't know how long we haven't been focused for. But I was having a hard time with YouTube, having a lot of resistance, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And there's this new exercise that I've been doing with myself. I don't really know how I thought of it, but it was like, if I had an employee who I wanted to do the task that I'm trying to get to do myself, what would the instructions be that I would give them? And the reason that I like this frame is because if you're giving instructions to another person, to an employee, assistant, whoever, you make it a lot more granular, and you make the steps a lot smaller and a lot easier to follow. And in doing so, I realized, because I'm always thinking about like step 50, that I'm like, oh, step 1's pretty easy. Why don't I just do step 1? Okay, so I'm back at the house. So I was planning on recording and filming me setting up my set. It's like this blank wall right here. But my stuff is not coming in until Monday on Amazon. It got delayed. Anyways, so we ended up going to Thanksgiving. I need to set this down. At my husband's grandparents, kind of like a late Thanksgiving. And, okay, you know, when you're around family and you're doing something like I'm doing, it is so hard to explain to family what you're doing. So it's like one of those nights, you know, Thanksgiving, you're with your relatives, your acquaintances, and it's not that people are rude. Like, no one's rude, but people don't understand it like they understood teaching. Like, people knew exactly what I was doing when I said I was teaching. But I just think that I spent so much time making decisions that were easily explained to people, or looked good on a resume, or older relatives would understand. And, you know, I'm the one who has to live my life. I think it's worth it to have an awkward Thanksgiving dinner or an awkward Christmas dinner when the other 363 days of the year, I'm doing it for me, and I get to enjoy it. And, you know, you take the hits a couple days a year, but it's better in the long run. That's what I'm trying to tell myself anyways. Okay, I'm closing out this vlog here. This is pretty fun. It's great to be back. Bye.